Okay, so we will learn about Hanukkah a few things today. So first of all, I wanted to say about the word. What means this word, Hanukkah? Maybe you know?
No,
You
I
don't
don't.
know. So this is the first thing that we should do.
Okay.
So we said about.
On Monday. On Sunday.
Can you give some Chumash? Yes, Torah. So we read what we read in the morning. It's called Chanukat Hamizbeach. Right. So what means Hanukkah? Also we have. I like this idea that we learned previous time. You sent link. 50 words that shaped Jewish
Yes.
thinking. So the concept to talk about words, I think I was doing something similar.
Yeah, that's interesting, huh?
Just to
Approach.
explain the
Yes.
term, and you go deep with sources and
Yes.
analyze. Yes, so we talk about Hanukkah. Also, we have a famous word. It's called chinuch. You know what means chinuch?
No, but I heard it a lot of times.
So so two meanings. So the main meaning, when you raise the kids, so you need to give them education. So it's chinuch воспитание. How I say it? Prosper. How say it in English? Exactly what I need to check. So the main question: what's the connection between chinuch and Hanukkah, right? So when you raise kids, Erziehung, they translate, and in English, education. Yeah, because there are two aspects. So you theory and practice, right? So when you raise a kid, so it's not that you give them a knowledge also, but more you teach him how to act, right? So this is education, because in Russian we have two words when you learn and teach, and when you raise a kid. So it's two words, right? So you have воспитание. It's more like about manners. You teach manners and culture. So this is one. And second, you teach knowledge. So anyway, we have this word chinuch, and also in Torah we have this term chinuch that we use. So it's mitzvah. Chinuch is mitzvah.
I don't know. In German we have erziehen und bilden.
Oh, genau. So we talk about erziehen, not about building. So we have mitzvah chinuch. We have sefer chinuch, right? Your book. It's called chinuch.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the same root like Hanukkah, right? Why it's called chinuch? Because this book is meant for kids. You teach kids the basics. You have 613 mitzvot, so you explain kids which mitzvot we have, where we can find mitzvot in Chumash, and a little bit reason behind every mitzvah, meaning, and also a little bit of laws. But he don't talk a lot about laws. He says a few laws, and then he says, if you want to learn more, you need to go to this masechet or other masechet. So this is chinuch. So when we teach and educate kids, it's called chinuch. And also when we start to use a temple or start to use altar in the temple, so it's also called Hanukkah. So what's the connection between these two meanings? So Rabbi Tavger teaches us that it's about start, right? So you want that your kid will start life. So you, how you say it? So you send him to this new start, right? So it's the same like with the altar. So you prepare the altar for the new start, and you turn it on. You start the process, right? So this is the connection between chinuch and between Hanukkah. So this is the word itself, right? So let's check now about the history of this holiday. Maybe you heard about Megillat Ta'anit also. We have Megillah. Megillah means book. And Ta'anit means fast. So now we don't fast a lot, but in the times of Talmud, Mishnah, people was fasting more. I guess main reason because of the rain. They don't have enough rain, so if you don't have enough rain, you organize a fast, public fast, and there was halachot, how you do it, and we have Masechet Ta'anit in Talmud about this halachot. But also we have Megillat Ta'anit. It's about the days that you cannot, should not make a fast because it's this like holy day or some good things happens in these days, so you cannot make a fast in these days. And we have the list of these days and in Megillat Ta'anit and explanation why these days you cannot make a fast on them. So I don't know if we have this book. I guess we have it somewhere in some academical circles. They maybe published this book. I'm not sure. I have not seen it. I have not read it. Unfortunately, it would be interesting to read it. I guess it's in Aramaic language, or it's mixed in Aramaic and Hebrew, like in Talmud. So Gemara in Talmud. Yes, it's already been published. I'm just saying I have not learned it inside, but in Gemara in Talmud, it's quoted here and there a lot of the times. So also in people, I just saw people discuss it. So we have two holidays, and it's not from Chumash. Right? We have Purim and Hanukkah, and people compare these two holidays a lot, found similarities and differences. So what is the difference? That the history of Purim we have written inside Tanakh. The book is called Megillat Esther, but the history of Hanukkah, it's also written, but it's outside Tanakh. It's called Apocryph, you know this word?
The Catholics have the book.
Yes, So they had it, but for some reason we don't have it inside Tanakh, so we can discuss why, we can learn about it. So the history exists and it's written, but for us, this story is not considered holy, it's not part of Tanakh. So this is Hanukkah. And also, about Megillat Esther, about Megillah, we have Masechet Megillah in Mishnah, about the laws of Purim and how to write this Megillat Esther, because we have mitzvah, the Rabbanan, that we read this scroll of Esther on Purim, and we have a Masechet discussing how to perform this mitzvah. But about Hanukkah, we don't have Masechet. So if we want to learn about Hanukkah, it's mentioned by the way in Masechet Shabbat, because in the second perek in Masechet Shabbat we have the law about how to light the candle before Shabbat, and we discuss a lot of laws about it. And in Talmud, someone mentioned so the law about the candles about Shabbat goes that you cannot use specific oils.
We read it actually on Shabbat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the perek is called Bameh Madlikin. So it starts. What can you use for?
What kind of, I don't know, what you're lightning, what you can
oil?
use? No, the string.
Yeah, also about the string. Mm-hmm. And Gemara discusses maybe there is a connection between Shabbat and Hanukkah. So what you cannot use for Shabbat, you cannot also use for Hanukkah, or maybe there is no connection, and even that on Shabbat you cannot use it, on Hanukkah you can use it. So the discussion goes, and because of this discussion, in Gemara we have a lot of laws about Hanukkah. But I didn't plan to learn the laws about Hanukkah in Talmud. I just wanted to read about history. Mm-hmm. So the Talmud discusses a few laws about Hanukkah, how to light, how many lights you need, which day, and then asks my Hanukkah, what is Hanukkah? the Tanu Rabbanan, and Gemara brings a quote from Oral Torah, from this Megillat Ta'anit, Bekavhei Bekislev Yomei de Hanuka Tmanya Inun Delo Mispat Behon or Delo Lehitanot Behon. So it starts in Aramaic language. 25 on Kislev, we have the days of Hanukkah, Tamnia. So it's like Shmone, 8 days, Inun, they are Delo Mispat Behon. So not only that you cannot make fast, we mentioned it, but also mispet, hespet. So if you have someone died, so you have you need to do hespet. It's halacha. You need to say good things about this person and how much you miss this person. It's called hespet. But if you have some special day, like Hanukkah, for example, you cannot say hespet if you make if you burying a person, right? So this this 8 days you cannot make hesped and you cannot make tanya. And what's the story behind these 8 days? It's very important to read it from the text because people talk about it, and when you talk about it, you can forget this detail or you can add another detail. It's very interesting. So the story is about Yevanim, Greek people, and at some point they entered Heichal. Heichal is the part of the temple, and then Timeu Kol Hashmanim Shebe Heichal. So inside the temple you had a lot of oil, Shmanim, and when they entered, so all the Shmanim became Tameh. So what means Tameh and what means Tahor? It's a big topic in the Torah. Tahor means pure, and Tameh, this is the opposite of pure, but it's not... О, мы учим про Хануку. Хочешь зайти? Можешь взять стульчик. Поесть. Я еще не ел ничего. А что ты ищешь? Это вот здесь, в женской части. Боюсь, что да. So we talk about Tum'ah and Tahara. So in other languages, like Russian, English, Deutsch, тебе передать что-то? Ну, хорошо. We don't have special word for Tameh, we say unpure. Yes, but in Hebrew we have special word for Tameh, so we should translate it differently. We need to find special word for it.
Is treif the same, or is it just for, because also describe something unclear? Or is it just for the animal?
It's a good question, because treif initially it's a very specific case when a wild animal attacked other animal and killed it, so we cannot eat it. It's prohibited by Torah. But in this Yiddish culture, we use this word trefa, taref, more wide.
Yes.
And we're saying about anything that we don't eat, we say taref.
Okay, thank you.
But it's not popular today because this Yiddish culture is more in the past, maybe in Hasidic circles, but in Orthodox we just say kasher, not kasher. And also in Oral Torah we have special word for not kasher, we say pasul. Kasher, and the opposite is pasul. But today in modern Hebrew we don't use it also. Yeah. Tameh. So I was trying to find the word for tameh. So tameh means something disgusting. It means tameh. So what's the connection between the Greek and between tameh? So I guess the story goes about the war. So what's the main source of tum'ah? It's the death. So if you have that person in the room and you have the oil in the room, so the oil, you cannot use the oil to light the menorah because the dead person is the source of tum'ah, and then the oil also receives the status of Tumah, and everything that you use for serving God should be in Tahara, should be pure. So this is the story. So at some point, when the war was, and the Greece, they captured the temple. Why they captured the temple? The beginning of the story is omitted here. They captured it because the Jews started this rebellion against the Greece. So this is why Greece entered the temple. So I guess a few people died, and then Jews lost control in the temple, and the Greece, they put, it was not Greece, it was one person, this Antiochus the first, number 4, and he put some idol in the temple, so Jews didn't have a control. But then, but then we had some brave Kohanim, not only brave, but very emotional, and they started a rebellion against Greek. You can read the story in the book of Hashmonaim or in internet. At some point, they organized Malchut. They organized Jewish sovereignty, we call it, power in the land, Venischum, and they overcome this Yevanim. But cool. But after this winning of Hashmonaim, we need to start again the service in the temple. But the problem is that every oil became tameh, and you cannot start the service without an oil, right? So you need to light a menorah with pure oil, but they don't have it. Ela pach echad shel shemen. Only one pach. Pach means like this, for example. Some maybe bottle, I don't know. We can say bottle. So they found only one bottle of shemen. שהיה מונח בחותמו. So what's the difference between this oil and other oil that was impure? So why this oil was pure? Because it was מונח בחותמו. So it was closed, hermetically closed, right? So the oil that was open, it's impure, but the oil that was closed, it was pure. And they found this oil. It was closed at some special room, של כהן גדול. So the main priest, he had some amount of oil, ולא היה בו אלא להדליק יום אחד. So I'm reading from Talmud. I can send you the link if you want. I'm reading from Sfaria. לא היה בו להדליק אלא יום אחד. But we want to continue the service in the temple, so the service is every day, right? But the problem is that the oil is very small amount, so you cannot start the service for a long time. You can the oil is enough only for one day. So what you can do about it? Naasa bo nes. So also we forgot to discuss this word nes. So something that called Nes happened, and then they was lighting the menorah 8 days. לשנה אחרת קבעום ועשאום ימים טובים בערב הודעה. And on the next year, קבעום, someone made this holiday and decided that it will be Yom Tov, I guess the sages. And what you should do on this day, Halel vehodaa. So Halel we said, Hodaa, it's the synonym of Halel when you praise, thank someone. Thanksgiving. Oh, so in America they had Thanksgiving recently, right? Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I just want to say a few things about this word Nes. What means Nes? So Nes, this is nominative, right? Shem etzem, but if you make a verb, it's lanus. Lanus. In the written Torah, we have about Ir Miklat. Maybe you know heard about Ir Miklat. Ir Miklat is a city that you organize for someone that killed someone else accidentally. So what this person needs to do, he needs to run away from someone that wants to do revenge. So run away is lanus, right? So this word nes we use when you save from something, from some problem. For example, so nes is, so you have a problem that you have a small amount of oil and you want to start the service in the temple. So what should you do? So it means nasa bones. So you were saved from this problem, and this oil was enough for 8 days. Because people talk a lot about miracles, so I don't like to talk about miracles because you need to give a definition for this term miracle, because today we have science and we heavily influenced by science, so we think that we can describe everything in this world by science. So we use this word miracle for something that we cannot describe by science. But for sure, initially this word was used in other connotation, right? Because people doesn't have this profound science like today, so they was using this word more emotionally, right? So if you have some big trouble and you were saved from trouble in a way that you didn't expect, so you say it's a nes.
Yes, I heard something like nature itself, it's like a miracle, but how we are used to how it works and how it runs, and we can know how the process is going. And a miracle is if nature doesn't behave like we are used to.
Yeah, it's this question. You use this word objectively or subjectively?
Yes, you're correct.
Nes.
I like the definition.
So on Pesach, we also talk about this on Pesach. Asara Nisim. Nasu. Let's see. We have Agada של Pesach. לאבותינו במצרים, for example. Nisim. So when we it's Mishnah in Pirkei Avot. So we can check this white sidur for Pirkei Avot. Okay, so we can learn about this. It's interesting. So it's Pirkei Avot Hey Dalit. Hey Dalit. עשרה ניסיונות, עשרה ניסים לנעשו לאבותינו בבית המקדש. ניסים. So it's about the temple. The 10 nisim was for our forefathers in the temple, and we have the list. So when you have which examples can we bring? The last example we read. לא אמר אדם לחברו צר לי המקום שעלין בירושלים. So a lot of people was coming to Jerusalem, and Jerusalem have limit space, and if you come for a holiday like Sukkot or Pesach, you need to stay for the night, right? So if you want to go without stay for the night, it's easier, right? But if you want to go and stay for the night, so you need to find a place to stay. So the last nes from this list, that there was now so V'lo amar, there was now such a thing that someone said to the other, Tzar li hamakom, I don't have enough place to stay for the night in Jerusalem. So it's called a nes. So I wanted to another Mishnah. עשרה ניסים נעשו לאבותינו במצרים ועשרה על הים. So 10 nisim our forefathers have in Mitzrayim and 10 on the sea. Interesting. and in Agada Shel Pesach we count this. But also we have similar word nisayon. You know this word nisayon? Nisayon usually we translate like a trial. So about Abraham we say he had 10 trials, V'amad b'cholan, and he stayed and passed all these trials. Why so much trials? להודיע כמה שחיבתו של עמו אבינו. To show how much Hashem loves Abraham. Okay, Nes, nature and Nes. So I just wanted to say that this discourse that Nes is the opposite of nature. It's not original understanding. Original understanding that you had a trouble, that you want to be saved from it, like Yeshua or Geulah. So you need Nes. So this is Nes when you were saved. And also, also it's connected to sign. In the written Torah, Nes is also used like a sign. If you remember the story when the snakes was attacking Jews in the desert, Nechashim, and a lot of people was hurt. So so it's also Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah. So Hashem says to Moshe, "Aseh lecha sahav v'sim oto al nes." You need to make from copper like a snake and put it on nes. So nes, it's some long stick. והיה כל נשוך והיה ראה אותו וחי. So everyone that was bitten by snake looks at this snake made of copper, and then he will live and not die because of the poison of the snake. So what's the connection between this copper snake and healing? This is the question that sages ask in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, and they say that when people, so let's read this Mishnah. Nachash. Yes, you can. I can look for Mishnah. No?
I'm looking for the word in English. What is the of the Aseret Hadibrot? The third one, don't make any likeness.
Yes. לא תעשה לך פסל וכל תמונה אשר בשמם. לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים.
And it's very interesting because it's one time that actually Hashem demands us to do something like that. Even like the Cherubim on the...
Yeah, so the sages discuss this type of questions.
Yeah.
The second Dibrot.
Yes. Oh, it's the second? Yeah.
Let's see. לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים על פניי, ולא תעשה לך פסל וכל תמונה אשר בשמיים מעל ואשר בארץ מתחת ואשר במים מתחת לארץ לא תשתחו להם ולא תעבדם כי אנוכי אדוני אלוהיך אלוהיך פוקד אבון אבות רבנים ושלישים רבים ושונאי ועושה חסד לאלפים לערבה ושומעים מצוותיי. So he was mentioning about some parts of the prayer. So initially he was saying all the Aseret Dibrot before Shema or after Shema. So where this Mishnah about Nachash?
May I put my thoughts on the topic of today?
Yes, please.
Where you are looking. Usually we have a link from the weekly parasha to the event what happened. Okay, I got.
It's the idea of Rebbe Miribavich.
Yeah, I got. For example, we reading Parashat Noah in the time where it starts raining in Eretz Israel. Or we're reading.
I didn't thought about it.
Or we're reading Parashat Devarim, before Tisha B'Av, and the topic of Devarim is like rebuking and what they did wrongs and the consequences.
Okay, interesting.
Yes,
yeah, I didn't thought about it.
Or Nitzvayim, we're reading close to Rosh Hashanah.
Mitzrayim.
Nitzavim
Nitzavim.
Vayelech, and it's about Shuvah. Okay, this is what I want to say. Yes, and then I was about thinking that Hanukkah falls on Miketz and the story of the brothers, and I wasn't finding something. And then I told you I opened miraculously the book about the link, and the link is in the Haftarah.
Haftarah. Oh.
Yeah,
Good
because
idea.
in the Haftarah we're reading about the menorah in the Bet HaMikdash, but we don't read about the menorah of the first one from Shlomo HaMelech. We're reading actually about the menorah of the prophet Zechariah.
Zechariah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, while I was listening to you, I was asking why we don't read about the story about Eliyahu when he was with the widow and he has the mug with the limitless oil.
It's very good question. Very good question. Okay.
But I'm coming back tomorrow and then we can process and digest.
Yes, because it's very important question.
My thoughts.
Very important question about the oil. Okay, so let's finish about the Nes. We
Yes.
mentioned Mishnah, so let's learn this Mishnah and then we can come back to Hanukkah. והיה כהשם ירים משה ידו וגבר ישראל. So Mishnah starts from, I don't know if you need to learn anything. Okay, so let's learn the second chapter. כיוצא בדבר אתה אומר. So it's the second example for showing the same idea. עשה לך שרף ושים אותו על נס והיה כל נשוק והיה אותו חי וכי נחש מיתו או נחש מחיה. So in the book of Midbar, Hashem says to Moshe, you need to make yourself a snake out of copper and put it on the stick, and then everyone that was bitten by the snake will see this copper snake and will not die, will live. So the oral Torah asks, וכי נחש ממית או נחש מחיה. You can see from it that the snake will kill and the snake will make someone alive. So for our sages, it's a very strange idea. So they suggest to understand it like metaphorically. אלא בזמן שישראל מסתכלים כלפי מעלה, so when the Jewish, they look up, it means towards God, ומשעמדים את ליבם לאביהם לשמיים, and when they understand in their heart that they depend on their Father in the sky, היו מתרפאים, then they will be healed in love, and if not, היו נימוקים, then they will be weak. So this is the Mishnah. And it's okay. So let's learn the first chapter of Mishnah also that we skipped. So the story about the war with Amalek. So when Moshe was holding his arms higher, then the Jews was winning the war. And when Moshe was tired and his arms goes down, then Amalek was winning. So also our sages, they ask the question, so what's the connection between the hands of Moshe? So the hands doing war or losing war, it's strange, right? Usually we do in war, the soldiers, they win, right? So what's the idea here? To say to you, when the Jews was looking towards up, and they accept their Father in the sky, and that they above them, they understand it, then they will become stronger in love, and if not, they will fall down. Interesting. Okay, so you asked about Hanukkah, about oil. So, for example, so so let's sum up what we learned from this Mishnah, Baraita in Masachet Shabbat Miglat Ta'anit, that we have this holiday. So what's the reason for holiday? The reason for holiday called Hanukkah. Hanukkah means that we start to use the temple from new again, right? So we start to use the temple. So we had a bad story that it was the rebellion and the war between Jews and Greeks, and the service in temple was stopped, and then the service was renewed. So this is Hanukkah. Additionally, like the detail of this history, we have the nes, the miracle of this oil. So how the service was renewed. It was not just renewed and because it's boring. It was renewed with this interesting story that after the war, all was destroyed and all the oil was spit. We don't had enough clean oil. We have only oil for one day, and then we have the SNES that the oil was burned for 8 days. So it's the reason to say Hallel and to make Yom Tov. So we see already two aspects.
No.
I wanted to check this the text in the Siddur, right, that you opened, because so let's read the text that you say in the
what you're saying was asking myself, maybe we're going even one step further back, okay? What was the function of the menorah in the Mishkan at the beginning? So you understand, and there's what we're reading in the morning, Abaye, what is saying,
how you make the light.
And there is, he's
What's
saying the process, what was the order of the thing, because we conquered back the Bet HaMikdash in that time, okay, but the menorah was only one part of the whole.
Only part. Yes.
We had also the Ketoret, the Korbanot, and all this, and so what was the function of the menorah in the temple? So why we had it? Why in the Mishkan Hashem said put it on there? You understand what I mean? And I think there's one special thing about the menorah, because in the second Bet HaMikdash, we had more than one menorah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
you need more light.
Yeah, exactly. So there's something about the thing, the item.
Okay, so first of all, the story in Masech Shabbat doesn't mention menorah.
Okay.
So it's about lehadlik. So they want to make a fire, to make a light. So the intention, of course, the menorah. So we see two aspects. We see the war and the service in the temple. So I just wanted to compare this story with the story that we say in the prayer, right? So you can open Amidah and we can read. So Ala Nisim V'Ala Purkan. So we're thankful to Hashem for Nisim, for the salvations. Purkan. So Purkan is the synonym of Nisim. In Aramaic, Purkan is like Yeshua. V'Ala Gvorot, V'Ala Tshavot, a lot of synonyms. So what's the story of Hanukkah? We have the version on Hanukkah and we have the version on Purim. So we read on Hanukkah. So we mentioned the name of specific person that is omitted in Masechet Shabbat. His name was Yochanan, and he was the high priest, and he was from the dynasty of Hashmonai Ubanav, and also his sons also take part of the story. So we had the Malchut, this power. So the Yavan, Greek, have power above Israel, Lashkicham Toratechem. And they had very interesting politics. They want everyone to be the same. So initially the Greeks was pagan culture. So in pagan culture you don't have problem when the other person have other god, because you have this concept that there are a lot of gods, right? But this time it was something special about this king Antiochus I, that he have this concept, idea to bring the culture of Greek, to force it on the land that you conquer. And the idea was that there will be no rebellion. But ironically, it was the reason for rebellion. And so we say the story not objectively, we say it from our side. So we look at this Greek like our enemy. They want us to forget our Torah. They want us that we will not perform the law of God. But you, because you had a lot of mercy, you stood for them, for Hashmonaim, when they had trouble time. Rafta et Rivam, they had a conflict, and you interfered in this conflict. Dante and Dinam, you organized justice for them. The Kantait Nikmotam, you organized revenge for them. Oh, so this is very important. Masanta Giborim Biad Halashim. You want to say something?
Yeah, what you're saying is
I'm just
very
translating.
interesting. What you say, they have many gods, but
Yes.
they had one problem with the God of Israel. That's the paradox, the intolerance of the
Tolerance.
Of tolerance, yes.
Masarta. So I said that very important motive in the book of Bereshit about the weak and the strong. So when the weak became the strong, right? So the Yaakov, for example, Yaakov was the second, so he was weak, and he becomes the strong instead of Esav. And also we read now about Yosef. So Yosef was the youngest and the weakest, but he becomes the strongest. So the same motif is here also. Masarta Giborim Biyat Halashim. So Giborim, it was the strong Greek. So you know the Greek army was very strong. They have this patent. In Russian we say falanga. You know this war tactics of
Pardon?
Greek? Falanga.
So with the shields and they go in front.
Yes. So usually the warrior have sword and shield or spear and shield,
Yes.
and he makes a fight on himself, and others can protect him or not. But mainly the war is a mess. It's not organized, right? But Greek have this. In Hebrew we use this word patent when you have some. In English you say know-how, right? So they have some special tactics. You put soldiers together very tight, and they make out of a lot of shields. They make basically like one shield, and also they have like spikes, a lot of spikes. But you need very long spears, right? So it's basically unstoppable force, right? So it's how Alexander Mogdon was conquering the whole world with the help of this hoplites. Yes, the name of the soldiers was hoplites. So they have very long, a few meters long spears. So it's called Giborim. So the army was the strongest, but this time Biyad Halashim. We Jews, we was weak, but this time the strongest was in our arms. Verabim Biyad Matim. And also the Greek was we was outnumbered by Greeks, but even then we had them. We got them. Utmeim Biyad Teorim. I don't like this word discourse. Utmeim Biyad Teorim. And so we was Teorim, and they was Tmeim. It's metaphorically. It's not exact. Uresheim Biyad Tzadikim. And the wicked ones was falling into hands of righteous ones. Zaidim is someone that performs crimes intentionally. So they was falling into hands of someone that was busy in Torah. So now we remember about God. We was too busy about ourselves. But for you, you did a good name and holy name in your world, and for your nation Israel, you made Tshua Gdola, big salvation of overcome, also salvation. Kehayom hazeh. So Kehayom hazeh, what it means until this day maybe. And after it, your sons came lidver beitecha, to your home. They made order in your temple, and they pured your temple, and they made lit candles in the Chatzer, backyards of your temple. So it's similar that you mentioned about the additional menorot. And they Kavu, how I translate Kavu. They decided that these 8 days of Hanukkah will be a holiday, lehodot ulahalel, to say, to give thanks and praise to your big name. Oh, so it's interesting to compare this version of story to Talmud, because in this version we don't mention about Nes of 8 days or 1 day, but in the prayer we emphasize a lot about the war with the Greek that we won with the Greeks, and this is why. So this is the main story, and after we won the war, we can continue the service in the temple. But strong emphasis in that prayer that we do about winning the war, and what we read in Megillat Ta'anit, it's the opposite. That we mention, we don't mention the war. We mention only that the Greek entered the temple, and then because of this technical thing, we have a problem that the oil is impure. But then, after some time, we have our Malchut Beit Hashmai, they won Yevanim. We don't talk a lot about it, so that's the reason why we can work with the temple again. But then we have new problem. We have problem about the oil. That's very small amount of oil, right? But then we have we was saved from this problem, and the oil was burning for 8 days, and this is why we have Hanukkah. So we can look at it like contradiction, just to make a discussion. So in Shabbat we see the main reason is about the oil, that the oil was burning for 8 days, even that there was not enough oil for 8 days. We call it Nes. So this is the reason for Hanukkah, for holiday, and the war is just on the back, like context. But here in the prayer, what we say, it's the opposite. So we focus a lot about the war. So we talk about how it was unjustified, that the Greek had power above us, and it was not good, but Hashem organized justice for us. A lot of synonyms we say about it. And like an additional story, we say that after this victory, we can come to the temple and light the fire, and because of this, we have 8 days of Hanukkah. So if you read the order, so the reason for celebration, because Hanukkah. So Hanukkah is when you start again the service in the temple. But how it was possible to make this service again? Because we won the war. And what? So the main question, what we need to do on Hanukkah, right? So it's not mentioned that we need to light the fire, right? It's also important to note that in Masechet Shabbat we read Halel ve'odaya, so we saying thanksgiving and praise, and in the prayer we saying also Kavu Shmanat Yemei Hanukkah Elo lehodot u'lalel Shem Chag Gadol, but we don't say that we need to light the fire, right? So it's very interesting. So why we light the fire in the first place? This is the question. And also, after we light the fire, we need to understand the reason for this fire. We can emphasize the reason that we won the war, like in the prayer. It reminds me, like this is core candles. If you have someone died, you light the candles. So of course, we had people died in the war, so maybe, just like in Syria, we can assume that we light candles to remember the fallen soldiers. It would make sense. Like today, I see pictures, we stand for Sydney with the candle. Or in Masechet Shabbat, we see this Nes. So we had a fire in the temple again, so we light the fire to remember this. What do you want to say?
Or maybe one thing what you mentioned on Sunday in the speech, the contraction between fire as something what you use in war, and now like the feeling of home, of being safe, of good, because if you think that it was very difficult to construct the Bet HaMikdash, because it was saying no thing of war, how to
Genau.
construct it. There was like
It's the last in the book of Yitro. Okay? It's the last law
it
in
was
Parashat
forbidden
Yitro.
to break the bricks with something
The
of
stones.
iron, the stones. Yes, and
So you need to stake the stones how they are and not make shape.
yes.
Because the sword make it mechalel.
And David HaMelech was forbidden to construct the Bet HaMikdash because he was a man of war, and his son because he was always reigning in peace, and now they got back the temple in an act of war.
Yeah, but it was for a short period of time.
Yes.
The temple was destroyed it's less than 2 centuries. So they got the temple 160 years before Common Era, and then the temple was destroyed on year of 70 Common Era. So it was limited time. Yeah, I wanted to open some. Hanukkah. So you mentioned Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai. Yes, so I also thought to connect it to this Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai. So we can read it inside. It's also in this Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, a little bit before. Tanu Rabbanan, another baraita, mitzvat Hanukkah ner ish ubeito. So the mitzvah of Hanukkah, ner. So also it's important to explain what means ner, because today ner for us is a candle, but they don't have candles like today. It was like the exception. Sometimes you have ner, it's called ner sha'ava. Sha'ava from this honey, how you call it?
Wax?
Yes, from wax. So it's some special ner, but standard ner was something that you put oil inside and you put string and you light a fire. So it can be a ner, right?
And I heard the oil of the temple was very special because it was the first quetch.
Yes, extra virgin, we call it today.
This is really extra virgin? I didn't know this. Okay.
Ner ish ubeito. So we need a candle for every ish, every man, ubeito, and his family. So it means that one family, I guess, should light one candle every day of Hanukkah. This is the mitzvah, right? And then
repeat the
it's very important to know. Mitzvat Hanukkah ner ish ubeito. So the basic mitzvah, the main mitzvah, that every person, every man, should light a candle, ner ubeito, for his family, right?
Okay.
This is the main law. And then we have vehamehadrin. And then we have mehadrin, someone that wants to do hidur mitzvah, that wants to perform mitzvah in a beautiful way. Yes, it's important to do things beautiful, but it's not obligation. It's good. Then we need to do ner lekol echad ve'echad. So the same ish lights not one ner for his family, but lights the ner for every person in his family. So it's dynamic. It depends how many persons you have. So in our family we have 3 persons. So then if we go with mehadrin to make mitzvah beautiful, then we should light every day of 8 days 3 candles, right? It's mehadrin. And then we have the next level, how you can say it, ultimate, mehadrin. So now we have discussion. It's very strange to have discussion about mehadrin and mehadrin, because usually discussion is about the main law, and then you can make hidur like you want. For example, if you have tzitzit or tefillin, you can make it more beautiful or less beautiful. So it's very subjective. It's not written in law how you need to make hidur mitzvah usually. but here it is written and plus the discussion. בית שמאי אומרים, יום ראשון מדליק 8. מכאן ואילך פוחת והולך. Interesting. So, how you do מהדרין מן המדרין? So, בית שמאי says that on the first day you need to light 8 candles. And then you need to reduce the number of candles. So, if I'm an ish and I have a family, so on the first day I light not 3, but instead of 3, I light 8. Right? I light 8 candles for my family. On the next day, I light 7, and etc. and go on. And on the last day, I have 1, like the main law, which makes sense. Interesting. And the other opinion is בית הלל. בית הלל אומרים, יום ראשון מדליק 1. So the first day, I'm doing like the basic law, which makes sense, and then I'm making something very beautiful. I'm adding every day another candle. So the second day I have 2 for the whole family, and then I have 3 for the whole family, and on the last day I have 8. Very interesting. It's not, I explain it like Rambam, it's not how we do today. Today we're doing this dynamic for every family member, right? So every family member lighting the candle, I guess it's like Ashkenazim, maybe Sfaradim like Rambam, I'm not sure. So today in Israel, so if we have the father and the wife and children, so everyone have this Hanukkah with 8 or 9, and then we add, everyone adds a candle every day. So a lot of light. So the question is, what's the discussion between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel? And we have the discussion in Talmud about it. Discussion about discussion. אמר אולה, פלי גיבה תרי אמוראי במערבה. רבי יוסי בר אבין ורבי יוסי בר זבידה. מערבה. So what is Ma'arav? Ma'arav, it's west, right? So what? So we read Babylon Talmud. So the west is the Israel, right? Oh, yes. Every time I need to calculate it. So Ula is from Babel, and Ula say to us that 2 sages from the west, from Eretz Yisrael, they discuss, and they have a discussion about it. And what was their names? Rabbi Yossi bar Avin and Rabbi Yossi bar Zvida. So one of them says that the reason of Beit Shammai kneget yamim hanichnasin. ותעמד בית הלל כנגד ימים היוצאים. ואחד אמר תעמד בית שמאי כנגד פרעי החג, ותעמד בית הלל דמלים בקודש ומורידין. So we have 2 explanations about the discussion between Shammai and Beit Hillel. So the first explanation says כנגד ימים נכנסים. So the Beit Shammai wants to emphasize how many days of Hanukkah we have left. So the first day we have 8 days left, so we make 8 candles, and on the next day we have 7 days left, so we have 7, and on the last day we have 1 day, so we have 1. And so the Beit Hillel, they goes the opposite. So Beit Hillel counting the days that already passed. So on the first day we're saying now we had the first day of Hanukkah. On the second day we're saying we had 2 days of Hanukkah, and on the last day we're saying we had 8 days of Hanukkah. This is first explanation. Interesting. Another explanation completely different. So in the first explanation we have like a mirror, right? So the Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, they want to emphasize 2 opposite things, not 2 different things, but 2 opposite. And the other explanation goes another style, that they have different reasons, not opposite, but different. ואחד אמר תעמד בית שמאי כנגד פרעי החג, ותעמד בית הלל דמלים בקודש ואין מורידים. So Beit Shammai, why he does like this? It's a little bit connected about Hanukkah. It's connected to Sukkot. So on Sukkot, we have parim, we have offerings, and every day we have less offerings like the day before. So this is why Beit Shammai understands that if we want to make a new holiday, Hanukkah, so we need to make it like a holiday in the Torah. So we need to reduce the amount of holiday things. So like on Sukkot we reduce the amount of offering, on Hanukkah we reduce the amount of candles every day. And Beit Hillel gives other explanation, Marin Bakodesh Vein Moridim. It's more common rule, Marin Bakodesh Vein Moridim. If we busy with Kodesh, with holy things, we need to Ma'alin, increase Vein Moridim, and not decrease. Interesting. Okay, and the last line here, Amar Rabba בר בר חנא, אמר רבי יוחנן, שני זקנים היו בצידן, אחד עשה כדברי כבית שמאי ואחד עשה כדברי בית הלל. Oh, interesting. Rabba בר בר חנא, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, says that there was two sages in Tzaidan, Sidon, some place, some city. One sage did like Beit Shammai, and the other did like Beit Hillel. And what's interesting to us, what's the reason why the one did like Beit Shammai? זה נותן טעם לדבריו כנגד פרעי אחד. So the explanation was because of Sukkot, that the amount of offerings reducing, and the other sage was given the explanation because Ma'alin Bakodesh. So beautiful translation to English. One elevates to a higher level in matters of sanctity, and one does not downgrade. Upgrade. Good. So this is Beit Shammai. So the explanation that I was given, I heard this from Rabbi Wasserman, and he read it in the book named Sfat Emet. Sfat Emet, I guess, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Nice.
So it's about Hanukkah. Okay, so if we had Art Scroll, Talmud, we can read a lot of interesting things, but we don't have it.
One day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we finish for today, 1 hour. Good. So we light the candles today at 6 in the evening.